Welcome to Adam's Athenaeum. Let's take a look together through the news and records of our times as we try to shed light upon the unvarnished truth. Thanks for coming back to listen to this episode about my opinion on who we should be listening to today to get relevant facts, accurate analysis, and upon people who I think spread the truth. This episode will be slightly different from my usual videos where I try to reveal the truth behind current news topics or hot political terms. Today, I would like to share with you, my audience, where I get some of my more reliable information from and who I turn to for great music to listen to, along with great podcasts to listen to or even radio talk show hosts to tune into. This video will be mostly me talking about several prominent individuals where you can find their videos or channels, and why I think their messages are important and relevant in today's society. This is in no way a promotion of any sorts for any of the later mentioned people or channels. This is just me trying to help people like me find more places to discover what I consider to be true news, journalists, and as I stated before, great music. I guarantee these artists and hosts have not heard of me before. I just thought one of the better things I can do with my channel is to help share other great channels. Let's start with music first, and if you have been viewing my channel for a while, you have probably heard me mention this artist's name before. I look up to this man for his strength and courage to speak honestly about his feelings and opinions, and not backing down when the mob came for him. To be honest with you, I pretty much can't listen to any artist anymore besides this rap artist. Most artists change their moral stance for a new record deal, or are themselves a slave to the corporate establishment. However, this artist never wavers. I know it sounds crazy that I'm about to suggest to you to listen to a rap artist, but I am suggesting just that, and don't let his appearance put you off. Tom Mcdonald is a Canadian rapper and songwriter, and he used to be a professional wrestler from 2003 to 2009. One of his breakout songs was called Exposure. Released in 2018, this song exposes the corporate corruption in media, exposes other music artists who talk one way but act another, and the hypocrisy of the way some people live their lives. I love this song for two reasons. One, it has a quote that I really try to apply to my channel. First, he says, "Hi, my name is Tom Mcdonald, welcome to the show. If you are easily offended, then you probably should go." I say often, the truth hurts, and it's okay. The second reason I love this song is because it really shows his lyrical talent to paint a very descriptive picture in your mind, using precisely guided words to send a message that can be understood by anyone. Another very influential song by Tom Mcdonald to me is Clown World. In this song, he truly shows the hypocrisy in the media, in our culture, and in what some refer to as the culture war. The song begins with, "You're worried about leaving a better planet for our kids. How about leaving better kids for our planet?" An entire generation offended at everything, getting mad that a human thinks all lives matter. Think about that. A human gets offended when someone says all lives matter. I don't care if it's in response to someone yelling Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is an exclusionary statement, whereas all lives matter includes all lives, no matter your race. So not only is he pointing that out, but he also points out that the young adults in the world just entering the workforce were raised by softer parents, generally speaking. But that if you want the world to be a better place, you have to have better people in it. I mean, he pretty much says just this in his next line. The next line, he says, "We don't need black or white or left or right. What we need is common sense, we need balance. We're all in the same boat, why are you trying to make holes? If they sink, we sink, this is madness." And this is what I admire most about Tom Mcdonald. He helped me to see that the problem was caused by the media and the Marxist institutions trying to divide everybody. We don't need Democrats, Republicans, skin color, or gender. We all live here together, and we won't be one until we can all accept that. I'm going to go ahead and try and post some links as to where you can find more Tom Mcdonald videos, songs, and any other relevant information to Tom Mcdonald. And moving on, I would like to go ahead and mention Adam Calhoun. I first found him through videos on YouTube Shorts, just showing videos of his garage where they hand make their product that they sell. and then I found his video called Racism. And I, like many others who have reacted to his videos, were a little surprised at the total and brutal honesty of the words in this song. It takes a fair shot at both sides and shows the problem with people who only see race in others. It also shows how the stereotypes put on certain races may be accurate in some instances, but we can never forget that everybody has a different story, background, and motivations for their life decisions. Now, some of these lyrics I can't say on YouTube, but you can find his videos on YouTube for yourself. I will, however, give you a taste of the lyrics to show the shock and how he attacks stereotypes put on people's races. What the F you rapping for, crack-a-ass cracker? Got your rebel flag with your camo hat backwards, stains on your shirt and your effed up teeth, piece of shit truck broke down middle of the street. This is the intro to the song where he goes after white stereotypes first, and continues further to show some of the common things about white people. In the second half of the song, it's introduced by the following lines. What the F you rapping for? N-word ass N-word. Got your sagging pants with your ass hanging out the back, hanging out in front of liquor stores selling crack, just so you can put some 24s on your Cadillac. This again starts and continues to show the harmful stereotypes placed upon black people. The message, however, in the song is that he does not care about what you say about him. Also, that stereotypes are harmful. Not everybody is the same. There may be similarities in individuals from the same culture, but again, everybody is different, along so many characteristic and trait lines. Moving on from music and onto radio, I would like to speak about Levin next. He is a man my father has listened to for many years, and he has remained consistent in his ideals. Mark is certainly a Republican who believes in liberty and the Constitution, and he was the first person to really introduce me to the idea of American Marxism. And he wrote an entire book entitled just that, American Marxism, which can be found at Audible, Amazon, and Barnes & Noble. In it, he showcases how Marxism has infiltrated American media and academia, and how we the people can fight it and defeat it. He also hosts a regular talk show program, which can be found on iHeartRadio by looking up the Mark Levin podcast. I love his daily introductory monologue because, as a man who has spent his life looking at politics and talking about politics, he is fantastic in his first 20 to 30 minutes of his show as showing what the problems in today's economy and society are. He understands the way that Washington and politics works, so he can break down news in an easier to understand way. He is passionate, which I enjoy listening to, and sure, as most radio hosts tend to be, it can be a little repetitive if you listen to his message every day. But each day is a little bit different. More information is included or more history is brought up to shed more light upon a story. And every day I listen to his show, I learn something new. And I look forward to hearing the national anthem as his show opens. It's almost rare to hear patriotic music in support of America anymore. Starting to move away from radio hosts, let's start to go towards podcast hosts. First, I'll begin with a man many people of all age ranges might recognize, Beck. This man is another former talk show radio host who I first learned of through my dad and through his guest appearances on shows such as Rush Limbaugh or Dennis Prager. In my adult years, I came back to Beck's podcast and found myself respecting his desire and use of bringing God and Jesus into the conversations about politics and religion. Growing up, I didn't feel that way, but as I got older and learned about America's heritage, history, and why we were founded upon Judeo-Christian values, it reminded me that we, as Christians at least, we can't leave God out of the conversations. We can't ignore his message and teachings because of our personal feelings. Now, Beck is a leader by action. He started a nonprofit called the Nazarene Fund, where they have raised funds to use private planes to go into war-torn countries to rescue and save the lives of condemned Jews and Catholics all around the world. Recently in Afghanistan, Beck and his team were instrumental in helping to rescue Americans and American aid workers in reaching America safely, since our government failed to do so. He also owns his side project company called The Blaze, or The Blaze TV, and through this, he has helped independent journalists who have good intentions, skills, and work hard to have their own podcasts, and has supported the work they do. One such channel he supports that I listen to regularly on The Blaze is by Elijah Schaffer, in his podcast titled Slightly Offensive. Glenn Beck has spent his life talking to others, learning from others, helping others, and has since tried to continue his journey of sharing the truth with people like you and me. The next person I would like to share with you is more left-wing than I am. However, I find myself agreeing with his views and takes on society or news stories very often. We may disagree about how to fix a problem, but he is rational, educated, and has invested a large part of his life to on-the-streets journalism. According to Wikipedia, who actually gives a pretty fair synopsis of Tim Poole, says, Timothy Daniel Poole is an American citizen journalist, YouTuber, podcast host, and political commentator who first became known for live streaming the 2011 Occupy Wall Street protests. He later joined Vice Media and joined Fusion TV in 2014, later working alone on YouTube and other platforms. And all of that is true. When Tim worked for Vice, he went to riots and political uprisings all around the world. And when America fell to riots in the summer of 2020, I pretty much only tuned into Tim and his other channels to get the latest news and opinions about what was really happening at the riots, how riots operate, and who was involved. Tim makes predictions sometimes, and many times he is right about what will come. He has been around the block a few times. He doesn't live in a confirmation bias bubble. Because of his prominence, he talks to people of all political persuasions and still holds productive, fruitful talks every weekday night with guests and his fellow housemates. I personally go to Tim Poole to get an opinion from someone who is further left than me, politically speaking. I like to go to a place for my news where I'm not being buried in lies, misinformation, and omitted truths. Tim is honest, makes public corrections if he messes up, and has separate channels. So if I want just the news, I view his Tim Poole channel. If I want his opinion on a matter, I'll go to his Timcast channel. And if he has a guest on that I like, or they have a conversation I find to be important, I can watch it on his Timcast IRL show. Now here's a name I'm sure most people will know, Joe Rogan. You probably have seen him through a show he used to host called Fear Factor, or perhaps as a commentator for the UFC, or cage fighting. He also created his own podcast called The Joe Rogan Experience, which can be found on Apple, iTunes, and Spotify. Now, I wouldn't say I go to Joe's channel for news per se. However, if he has a guest on who is an expert on a particular subject matter, then I have the opportunity to listen to a comedian interview this person for potentially up to and around 3 hours. The biggest problem in the way our television and radio news is produced is the time crunches and time slots that must be followed. If you want to explain communism, gender theory, or global warming, you can't do it in a 5-minute segment. However, if you have 2 to 3 hours to just talk, unfiltered about anything, and have someone operating a computer to make references and fact-check statements made, that's life-changing. And now you can delve into topics like global warming, communism, or gender theory. Sometimes the host or their guest has their facts and corrects, and sometimes they are smoking or drinking on the show. However, that doesn't take away from the expert knowledge, testimony, and stories told on the show, from people who have lived all walks of life. Finally, I would like to mention Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is a political commentator and media host. He created his own show called The Daily Wire, which he founded and hosts The Ben Shapiro Show, which is a daily political podcast and live radio show. Ben Shapiro has come to prominence through going on speaking tours to college campuses with a group called Young America's Foundation, or YAF. His debates at these tours with audience goers is pure gold. You can see Ben take questions from those who disagree with him and react and respond in an intelligent, lightning-fast way in an argument backed up with the latest cited polls, statistics, or studies. He went to UCLA and Harvard for his education, so he is no dummy by any stretch of the imagination. He understands politics, a lot of American history, and most importantly, he lives his life by faith, much like Beck. Ben provides perspectives from the Jewish faith and how that has helped shape America and her ideals and values. I may not always agree with Ben's end policies, but I almost always agree with him on where the issue lies. So, those are my top 7 people in today's society who I think have the most honesty, accuracy, and post regularly with easy to watch and understand videos. I respect each of these men. There are countless others who I listen to, and I'll make a brief mention of them. Dax has posted a few faith-based songs, and his message truly hits your heart and brings questions to even the most practiced Catholic. Andy No, who is a gay Vietnamese journalist, covers Antifa and the riots in Portland, Oregon almost exclusively. And his reporting is so accurate in exposing that Antifa have tried to murder him on multiple occasions to silence him for good. Thomas Sowell, who has been in Washington for much of his life, is a supremely educated black man who understands what truly brought upon the black struggle. He addresses the issues directly and honestly about race, just as he has done for decades. Lastly, Steven Crowder, who can be a bit outrageous and outlandish, has a YouTube channel called Louder with Crowder. In his show, he talks mostly politics, but being a well-funded and experienced talk show host, he has great source connections and did some excellent work on the 2020 election coverage. To conclude, I'm not trying to tell you who to watch or listen to. I'm just trying to share with you the people who have had the most influence on me, who have shown the most facts and data consistently, and who have changed my life. I don't care if you never listen to any of these people. This video is also my way of saying thank you to these artists. I hope you listen to at least one song or one video from each of these individuals. You can find videos and songs from these people anywhere on YouTube, and some of them are on Spotify or Apple iTunes. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this episode, which I know is a little different from my usual style. Don't worry though, the next video will go back to normal, as I intend to discuss what really happened on January 6th in an introductory fashion. I would expose the whole lie, but Nancy Pelosi still has over 13,000 hours of video footage she refuses to release or show to the public. If you like my channel and the work I'm doing and the progress I'm making, please share this video with any and all of your friends, and be sure to leave a thumbs up. If you would like to add more artists' names, I look forward to reading about them in the comments section. Either way, I appreciate you coming back to Adam's Athenaeum, and I hope to see you back next Thursday.